Hey everybody, it's Benji here.
And Philip J. Fry.
Philip J. Guy.
Yep, that's me.
Yep.
All right.
We are here. Welcome to another Two Beans podcast.
Two beans in a room. I don't think we've ever said the
room.
actual full name of our podcast. We're always just two beans, but we're two beans in a room.
Two Beans in a Room is the name of the podcast. All things considered.
All beans considered. But today we are going to be talking about our bands that we've been in and some of the music that we've done together.
Music has been a big part of our life.
Yeah.
We were both in bands. We both were in each other's bands a couple different times.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we both were I was in band for a long time during school, not metal, just playing saxophone and
Concert
stuff.
band and jazz band.
Jazz band. I was into jazz band and I did the jazz of...
I bottle the jazz band.
Hey, who's ordered a bottle of jazz?
Who ordered a bottle of jazz?
I ordered a bottle of jazz. Hey, chocolate. So yeah,
Welcome
we
to
are.
Two Beans.
Obviously, Two Beans, chaotic energy. We love it. We love you. I love you.
We like it. We love it. We want some more of it.
As the old
and this one
Journey used to say.
we might still take a shot, but we're gonna start off with this guy who's been laying around our apartment
his
for a couple
apartment,
weeks.
not our apartment.
Yeah, me and Beanie Jeannie's apartment.
Yeah, Beanie Genie. Shout out to Beanie Genie.
I'll grab the wipes.
Oh yeah, Hey, make yourself useful and grab the wipes.
Hey, can you grab the wipes?
I've just got a lot of foam and I haven't poured that much. There you go. Let some of that air out. Get that down.
So how you all doing?
Yeah, can you tell us right now? You can call
Leave
us.
us a comment. How you doing?
Hey y'all.
Well, shit. How
Well,
y'all doing?
shit. What y'all doing?
Oh yeah, that's always what you know. How y'all doing? Yeah, this is like our second
reason,
episode tonight.
this
We
isn't
just
working for me.
filmed our.
I'm gonna need you to. I'm gonna hold this.
Oh yes.
I thought I could do this. I know I have done it before by myself, but for some reason it's not working. I just need you to pour the rest of it too. It started tipping, and I'm like, oh crap! Just a disaster.
I have not done one of these in like 5 years.
Good luck. It can be rough. We'll see if I can even do it fast enough anymore.
Okay. Bing bong.
Yeah, this is our bean bong.
There you go. That was a bean bong.
That was one whole bean bong. Oh, there's still some more.
Oh yep, there is.
There we go. I hope everybody's like, these guys do not know how to do this. And to be honest, we used to know how to do this.
I've never been.
I used to do this
with
with-
a disaster.
I wouldn't get it in there.
Jane, can you pass me the toilet paper?
This isn't going to go well. This is going well. This is the kind of energy we want to create on our show. This is for when we poop on set. We're also taking stills of this one.
We're 8 minutes in.
I told
We
you not
haven't
to.
even talked about
I told you not to put time limits on this one.
All right. So is it on or off right now?
Oh, look at it. Can you see a hole? Is it red?
Yeah.
Just open her up and take a look and see how it goes. All the glory. I mean, or we just make this a separate thing. All right, you ready? There you go, bud. Go SpongeBob. There you go. You look wiped.
That was rough.
It can be rough. Okay, now I'm gonna do a shot. You don't have to do a shot.
I'll do a shot.
Okay. You want the Bacardi or do you want Nelson's ass?
I want Bacardi.
Still have Nelson's ass sitting right here. Oh God. Or a disaster. Oh God, I got Samson's cactus.
That's alright. I already spilled some on there earlier.
So, oh, oh,
Oh.
oh,
Okay.
okay. Hey. Wait. So we're gonna be really drunk for this one. All right, we all just want to be big rock stars. Bing bong.
Bing bong.
Shots shouldn't get worse as you get more drunk.
I know they usually get better, but they're...
All right. So anyway, music.
Yeah.
We're just gonna both pass out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So this episode we're gonna be talking about both kind of our musical endeavors that we did separately. Yep. We did some stuff together.
Mm-hmm.
As we talked a little bit before, we were both in like concert band, jazz band, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I could start real young. For me, music's been a big part of my life for most of it. I remember my first CD I ever bought was How the West Was Won, which was the live CD of Led Zeppelin.
Huh?
Yeah. My dad has a huge record. You think your record collection's huge. My dad's is massive and in multiple rooms, and it is destroyed.
Destroyed?
Well, so all the records are intact, but we had floods and stuff.
Oh, yeah, that's sad.
Multiple moves, but yeah. He used to always do like musical projects. He's like, well, have you ever checked out Eric Clapton? It's like, no, what? I'm a kid.
Yeah. Not dissing Eric Clapton, but
oh, yeah. No. I wouldn't let you anyway. I'd just jump right out this window.
Ugh, I'm going to be the burpy one this episode. We just filmed our review of Interstellar, and this guy burping up a storm over here.
They call me the McBurpy.
The McBurp.
McBurp.
Yeah, I had like a little bit of exposure to music growing up, but neither of my parents were like super into music, so I kind of picked up pieces here and there. Bill and Ted was kind of like the first thing that made music seem cool to me.
Yeah.
And then...
And see, my first...
Sorry.
I was just going to interject because it made sense. My first exposure to Bill and Ted was a Steve Vai CD that I bought.
Yeah.
No.
Steve Vai is pretty cool.
He's pretty He's vibing.
He's vibe.
He's got a vibe.
We should start spelling vibing VAIBING.
Mm-hmm. And we only Photoshop vibe over everything.
I'm here for that.
Vibe.
But yeah, the two albums that I remember hearing as a kid, like before like really anything that I was like, yeah, this is good, was Matchbox 20.
Hell yeah, brother.
Yourself or Someone Like You, and then Savage Gardens.
Hell yeah.
I can't remember the name of the album, but it has Truly Madly Deeply and the other one.
My parents my dad had like the big, huge stereo. And he would like, I remember trying to sleep at 9 o'clock at night because I'm a kid and it's my bedtime, and my parents are blaring Pearl Jam, Alice in Chains, Journey, Matchbox 20, because my mom actually got to meet Rob Thomas. Yeah, so again,
Throb Thomas.
Throb Rhombus. Anyway, so moving on into life, and that's kind of like just been about that music life for a while.
Yeah. So yeah, we both kind of got into it young, and then for me, I mean, I kind of got really into like wanting to pick up like guitar and stuff like about when I was like 12 when I first like actually got guitar and started learning how to play it. And that's kind of the first thing that made me go like, whoa, okay, like I can like kind of do this, you know. I played like saxophone and stuff a little bit, you know, in like 5th grade, but I was like, oh, music can be like cool too. Not dissing saxophone, but I like percussion early on, like first thing, and I can't remember why I got talked out of it. But I was like, I'll do saxophone. I did saxophone for like a year, and I was like, no, I want to do drums. And I immediately realized it was a bad idea because they wouldn't let me just be like, oh yeah, you play like a drum set. I had to start with the bass drum.
Yeah.
And they're like, all right, we'll start with "We Will Rock You." All right, 1, 2, 3, go. And I was like, it should be simple. Boom, boom.
Yeah.
But like, I have terrible sense of rhythm, and I was on the spot, and I was like, ah! So it was pretty traumatic.
Yeah, I can see that. So yeah, I actually wanted to play cello when I first got, and my mom was like, I played saxophone. I have a saxophone. I can't find my saxophone, but you're still playing saxophone. It's a big weird thing. And I was like, I don't want to play saxophone. I want to play cello, Mom. So I played alto sax. Absolutely hated it. I stopped showing up to the band and stuff. I stopped going to the band. I had a teacher at one point was like, hey, and so he was an aggressive person. This was kind of early in my life where I kind of figured that out, you know.
Yeah.
And anyway, I also just didn't like alto sax. I had so many problems with that instrument. It was kind of cheap for being as expensive as it was.
Yeah.
And anyway, she was like, hey, when you move up, you can switch to different saxophones. You just have to stick through it through 7th and 8th, 5th, 6th, and then 7th and 8th. So it did. Didn't like it. I was always last chair. Switched to Barry saxophone in high school. I was in marching band. Jazz band was my favorite. I did concert band, but I kind of like skipped out a lot on concert. Like I would skip class during concert band. I'd be there at the start when they took roll, and then I would just leave.
My only option was concert band because that's all Oxford had.
Yeah, we had we had all the classes, and I finally started taking it seriously at the end of the high school and stuff.
Yeah. I hear you. And I mean, I was into like percussion and stuff. I mean, I always knew guitar was kind of my thing, but at the time I was a little experimental because once I got over the whole fear of the bass drum thing and started to get a little bit of confidence, I talked my parents into buying me like a whole like drum set. And I would just I'd go home and I would just go, and then my parents made me move into the basement, and it was still annoying. But I was like trying so hard, and my brother was like, "Yeah, you're not really playing anything. You're just going." I was like, "Toms." Drums and percussion is something I wish I would have taken a little bit more seriously because I could see myself like applying that now. Yeah. Number one, it would help me get a better sense of rhythm.
We get a boner.
Yeah, sure. Whatever works these days. And then
stick that drumstick right up my ass.
Yeah. But yeah, it would have I would have had a better sense of rhythm and timing, and overall, it would probably would have made me a little bit better of a musician. And I left concert band for a little bit. I came back because they were like, "Hey, we're going to Worlds of Fun, and we really need like another drum player." And I was like,
"How you make it sound like you broke up?" Like, yeah, we broke up for a while, and then I came back.
And that's kind of how it was. Like we had a really cool teacher when I first started. He left when I was in like 7th or 8th grade. We had a real douchebag for a while that no one liked. So I was like, yeah, I'm done. I realized I wasn't as passionate about that. I was like, I'll just play guitar at home.
Yeah.
And then we got a cool teacher my sophomore year, something like that. And she was like, hey, we're going to go to Worlds of Fun, and we really need percussion because there was like only like 2 people doing it. And I was like, all right. And so I just kind of did that, and I kind of coasted along, and that's how I got to Cali, because there was a fine arts day for Cali College, and my band teacher was like, "Oh, you should go audition for the concert band," and I was like, "I have nothing. Like, I didn't prepare anything. Like, I literally had nothing."
I hope you tried to redeem yourself by playing "We Will Rock You," but you still missed it.
It was a total disaster. So I signed up for a time slot, walked in and met Josh Flagg for the first time.
Yeah.
And he was like, hey, what do you have prepared for me? And I was like, I got nothing. And he was like, oh, okay, that's fine. So he pulled out a piece of music, had a little snare drum there, and he was like, why don't you just, do you have like drumsticks or anything? I was like, dude, I got literally nothing. So you had to like dig around, find some drumsticks, pull out the snare drum. And I was awful. I mean, it was probably a simple rhythm, just some like 16th notes or something. Yeah. But like, number one, I have a hard time with that stuff without like a click track or anything.
Yeah.
And it was just me and him. And I'm like, And he was like, "Oh no, you're fine." And I totally thought I failed it and whatever. And then a month later, I got an acceptance letter to Cali that was on a full ride scholarship.
So
yeah,
I was offered more money to go to school in Coffeyville to play Barry for them, but Travis and Blake and my friend Neil all went to Cali, and so I actually committed. Or not committed. God, it's not like I'm an athlete. Anyway, I was gonna go to Coffeyville, Kansas, to play Barry sax for them. They offered me half of housing and all of books and tuition to play Barry for them, and I was gonna stay with my grandma and stuff like that because she lives down there. And
what a different life you would have had.
Yeah, last minute, Travis said, "No, just try out for Josh Flagg. Just do it." And Josh said, "Hey, I can't offer you as much, but." So I was already kind of like, I do really want to go here because my friends are all going here.
Yeah.
Travis had already spent a year down there. I really enjoyed Josh just as a person. He's
a cool guy.
It was fun. We had a lot of fun. I don't know how many times I went to band just still drunk.
Yeah.
And fucked around.
Right.
I remember at one point I would just play on a jazz mouthpiece with a plastic reed and just be loud as shit because I was like, I don't care. This is kind of a joke. And I hated concert band anyway. I was only there to go to jazz band, and so I was like, I'm gonna just fuck off. I don't care.
Josh would spend so much time working with like brass and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Where like. Because it was me and Cody Wagner and a few other people in the back and the percussion. And we would just lay down on the floor. Because, like, we'd come in, we'd spend, like, it was, like an hour-long class. And we'd spend 3 minutes starting the song. And he'd be like, no, okay. Trumpets? I need... We would lay down on the floor and we would just, like, stand back up for the last 10 minutes of class. Because it'd be like, all right, we stopped at measure 3. Let's pick back up there. Get to measure 10, bell would ring. We're like, all right, well, see you later.
But where one music career ends,
another one picks up after begins. Like 30 minutes talking about Josh Flagg. This is going to be a fun one
I started the good old DACT, Baradactyl. Well, he actually started in high school, but we really didn't take place because... If we go back in time, you had started A Night in Paris, which at this point was EOE.
Yeah.
When we first started. So let's go back in time.
Yeah, we'll take a little...
Matthew McConaughey back.
A little trip in the old time machine.
Go back in that black hole.
So I had tried to start bands kind of off and on throughout like high school. The first few times, me and Phillip Zimmerman tried like playing some... things, but it usually resulted in us playing For Whom the Bell Tolls by Metallica because that's the only song I knew all the way through because it's super easy and everything else would be like, well, I know like a riff, but yeah, we had tried a few things here and there and never quite panned out, and then it was after he had formed his own band, Untapped Market. They were playing some sort of benefit show there in Oxford. Yeah. And they were just like, hey, if you can get a band together, you guys can open. So I got Matt Carlson, who I knew. He and I were good friends at the time. He played drums. And got our friend Dylan. They didn't even play an instrument, but I was like, hey, if you can find a bass, you can play. Literally, at the first show, they were just playing open notes because I didn't even bother teaching them like the stuff.
Yeah,
it's kind of my fault, but at the same time, they stroll with it. And then Chris Curtis was our vocalist. Didn't write any lyrics. Didn't have anything. He was just. It was a horrible show, but somehow we kept it going after that. Yeah, and I actually started writing a few songs. We went through so many lineup changes in the first year. Yeah. We eventually got Trey Swain, and that's kind of like the first time like the band started getting a little bit serious because he had already been jamming with Cody Wagner had some stuff written. But yeah, so after that, we played, and then we eventually, like at the time, like I was like salty with Chris, our vocalist, because he was just, he was like 16, so like, I couldn't hold him too seriously. He was doing his own thing, but I was like, hey, we had band practice, man, where are you? And he was like, I was hanging out. So then we got 2 vocalists after that, because we got a buddy of ours, Kyle, who just like happened to like randomly show up to a show we played at our skate park in Oxford.
Yeah.
And he was like, you guys are really cool. And he became our vocalist. And his buddy Malachi was like, I'll do clean vocals. So we had screaming vocals, clean vocals. Malachi also played keyboards.
Yeah.
And we only played 1 show with that lineup. Well, I guess maybe we played like 2 shows or something. And then kind of as things like changed and we started writing different stuff, I don't even remember what happened, but I met Travis. And I was like, you remind me of the vocalist of Oceano, because you're just like a big guy. You look like you could scream really good.
Oh, Travis probably was like, oh, I could do that. Like he
totally sold himself, because he was
absolutely.
Like, yeah, I was in like a punk band at some point in high school and did vocals. I have no idea what he was talking about. But at the time, I was like, oh yeah, cool. I didn't know any better. I didn't know a good vocalist from a bad vocalist back then.
Me and Gil had started Pterodactyl in high school. Gil was the drummer. I was the vocalist, mainly because it was like I figured out that I can do the screams. I didn't really know what I was doing during them and whatever or not. And we just never could get a guitarist. Yeah, then we got to college, and we were like, we're still looking for guitarists.
Was I your first like official guitarist?
Yeah, so we met on EOE's first Wichita show.
Yeah.
And then you and me happened to be in the same dorm. And it was just kind of like, oh, hey, pal. Hey.
Yeah.
Hey.
And I was like, yeah. Oh, at the time I was in EOE and I was in a, Randy McPhail?
Yeah, I do.
They had agonistic behavior. Their guitarist left. So it was just me and Randy trying to reform agonistic behavior.
Yeah.
We played a few songs, and then I joined your band, and at one point I was like, I'm in 3 bands. This is too much.
Well, so like, and I knew you weren't you were kind of like, I'll help you get started. Because you kind of were like, I'm going to help you get started, but I'm not really.
Yeah.
So you helped, you showed us, like, you're like, hey, I'm going to help you write some stuff. And then you brought up, you're like, you should really get a cover, and then have somebody try out on that cover.
Yeah.
Cody Church. You showed us Cody Church, and he was our guitarist.
Mm-hmm.
We played In Dying Days by As Blood Runs Black.
I still can't believe we played that. That was awesome.
That was our
I
first.
couldn't play that these days.
Yeah, so we, As Blood Runs Black, we got Kendall Slovak.
Oh, yeah, he was the first bassist.
Yeah, he was our bassist, Saggy Sack Slovak.
I almost forgot.
And we played that Oxford show. We basically had kind of the same comeuppance as you guys did with Untapped Market. We wrote You're Tacky and I Hate You. I wrote Welcome to the Cave, which is our intro, like 2-minute long intro with piano and super breakdowny. And we did In Dying Days, and those were our first 3 songs. Yeah, and we played at Oxford for you guys, and
right, yeah. I so some of the shows that like EOE did like in early 2011, some of those were like really fun because that was like when we were at our peak of like opening for like actually like decent bands that like have
came down to Arc City.
Some like like our local shows back then were awesome because we were in the perfect town of like Arc City where it's like it was big enough to get like a decent amount of people there, but it was a small enough town that people didn't have shit to do.
Yeah.
So they would just show up.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, like we had opened for like Suffocate, Memphis Mayfire.
Oh shit.
We opened for the Tony Danza Tap Dance Extravaganza.
Yeah.
Well, like a lot of these like cool bands that like aren't really around anymore, but have like a lot of street cred and stuff.
Yeah.
So that was like kind of like the peak of like our like
Memphis
our
Mayfire
cred.
For sure is down. Still around.
Oh yeah, I didn't mean to lump them into that, but like bands that like were like peaking like at that time.
Yeah.
But then like kind of like late 2011, early 2012 was some of the more fun times, like playing with like a lot of the more of like the local bands, because we had like you guys, there was Ritualist, Brave the Shallows / My Marionette, Untapped Market,
Arrowhead. I loved
Aramont. Yeah. Arrowhead's good too. Yeah, like there was so many like fun like kind of local bands from like the Kansas and like Oklahoma area. Teeth Like Lions. Yeah, that
Unheard Apology.
Oh yeah, how could I forget?
Chris Ripley.
Yeah. But yeah, there was so many like good bands, and it was such a fun time because everyone was just like good pals. So
and then at that time too, it was like everybody had a house. So it was like you had the EOE house, which was kind of like and then you had the Untapped Market house, and then you had the Unheard Apology house, and you partied at all those houses throughout the night, kind of. We always went to Travis's, but like, it was just a big party. Yeah,
we all hung out a lot, and
so everybody at the shows would all go party, and then we'd all be back at the show, and it was a good fun time. And then we started trying to get into Wichita, and I really think we did we did another cover of I can't even think of the band, but it was a 90s. It was
Collective Soul.
Yeah, Collective Soul. We did that cover. It was horrible. Like I
loved your guys' cover.
So at one point I was smoking cigarettes for no flipping reason, and it killed my vocals. And I remember doing this. I remember doing the show. We also had wrote Nothing at that point, and Macaulay became our second guitarist.
The main thing I remember about him was you guys were playing in like drop C, which like you just need like a 6-string guitar for it. And he had that 9-string that he insisted on
it was
playing.
Custom made, it was really cool.
Yeah, I mean it was cool, but I was like, you can't. It just doesn't sound good.
Yeah. But so
not to diss on that.
Oh yeah.
But it was so funny because like he had Cody Church with like his like regular guitar, and then Macaulay with this like big 9-string guitar. Remember who would be like, "Is he playing bass?" I was like, "No, he's just got a big guitar."
It was because Kendall was still on bass at that point.
Yeah,
we had recorded our little EP. We did "Welcome to the Cave" and "You're Tacking I Hate You," which "You're Tacking I Hate You" is on YouTube. But I was 18 when I did those vocals.
Yeah.
Anyway, we did a lot of shows around there. We finally you guys had already broken into Wichita a little bit. We took us a little bit. I think it was 2012 by the time we broke into Wichita. I finally because I was really good friends with Nick Phillips, who was kind of in charge of booking shows at the time. He's a super nice guy.
Yeah, Nick was always a cool guy.
Him and Stan always got us shows whenever we could.
Yeah.
I gotta love Stan.
Yeah, Stan's awesome.
Stan's the greatest person in the world.
Stan, if you're watching this,
thanks for watching. Yeah. And so it was. We had a lot of lineup changes. At one point, it was just Cody and Macaulay. We started breaking in Wichita. Cody ended up moving back to Topeka, and he had to quit. And then that kind of like lost the heart and soul.
Yeah.
But I kept pushing because I was like, no, we've got this. Like, we have good, solid songs, but we also didn't have anything tabulated except for Nothing.
It's hard
for the 2 songs
when you lose your primary songwriter and nothing's written down.
Yeah, and so I had
to teach people.
I had written Welcome to the Cave and Nothing. And Nothing is still one of my favorite songs. But I wasn't a primary songwriter. I very much was just like, an idea would come across, and then I would just sit on it for like a month, and then finally write it, or then finally get to the end of it. And once Cody left, the heart and soul kind of died, but we kept trying.
Yeah,
we had
and I mean at the time, I used to be like, well, the Wichita scene like died and stuff, which it didn't really, but like the kind of music that we were playing was just kind of on the way out in a way.
Well, it was such a quick...
tastes were changing, and the venues that we played really frequently were closing left and right.
Yeah.
So there wasn't like a consistent place for people to go to see a lot of the local bands. And just the scene overall was kind of changing. And it kind of was leaning a little more towards like kind of like the indie scene and a little more of like the pop scene. So different bands kind of popped up here and
flash
there.
in the barrel with 2011 like deathcore. You know,
Yeah.
it got so popular so fast with Whitechapel and Chelsea Grin, and then it just kind of like within 2 or 3 years, which really isn't that long.
It seemed like a long time, but a lot of that stuff like kind of fizzled out.
It's a long time because at that point
I didn't really start going to shows until like 2008.
Yeah.
And I mean, like they were. That's when like even small deathcore bands were getting huge draws at the time, and then by like even like 2011, we were still like with some of the bigger bands we pulled for. They weren't quite getting like huge turnouts. Like the Memphis Mayfire show we played didn't get like a huge turnout. That was Untapped Market's CD release show.
Yeah.
And I think we opened and then Untapped Market played, and then people left after Untapped Market and did not stick around for Memphis Mayfire, which at the time was like a pretty big band.
Yeah.
And it was like maybe 30 people left for like this huge band.
Oh yeah.
And so it was kind of like a sign of things to come, but at the time we were all like, oh well, everyone loved the locals, like we're awesome. Like it felt really cool that people stuck around for us, but not for them. But it's kind of a trend you could see coming where just people weren't as into that kind of music anymore, and things were changing.
I got tired of it because it got very political. Because remember, we booked shows, you and me.
Yeah, there was just a lot of drama going on in the scene at that time too.
Underdog Productions, shout out.
Shout out to our own production.
We booked 2 shows.
I didn't even go to the second one.
I know. That's kind of what killed that. That was like the start of like, this isn't fun.
Well, the first show wasn't even.
Well, nobody showed up to any of our shows, and you know I did the best, and I don't have.
I mean, a lot of it was our inexperience. We didn't really know what we were doing.
Yeah, I mean, no, like I remember they liked working with us because we responded quick, you know, and things like that. And it was like we were professional, but we didn't know what we were doing when it came to promoting.
Yeah, and at the time,
we probably
I think that also was when, like, you know, like I said, tastes were kind of changing and stuff. So like bands that 2 or 3 years before that would have like drawn big crowds, people either just didn't know about or didn't care about as much at the time.
But I still love those 3 bands that we booked that one time. Onward to Olympus, Syriana, and Mouth of the South.
Yeah, all those bands were awesome.
So.
Yeah, that was a fun
super
show.
Nice. You didn't do the second show, which kind of was like, okay, this is tough. You know, this is a lot tougher because I'm doing it on my own. And then I just couldn't get Hayesville. We were going to do a local show. They were being very difficult on booking the venue. And so I was like, you know what? Like, another guy was complaining about how his show was only getting like 50 or 60 people. And I was like, I get like 10 or 20 and I'm super happy. And he was complaining about getting 50 or 60 and bitching at everybody's, all the other people on the stuff about how the scene's dying and it's our fault. And it's like, you know what? It's not worth it. And I really haven't been to a local show since.
Yeah. I've been to a few shows here and there.
Black Dahlia Murder was the last
at
one.
that point, you know, like I said, the things kind of changed. And I mean, the scene kind of came around. Like deathcore kind of came back a little bit.
It's kind of come back.
But yeah, especially at that point, you know, both of our bands weren't doing as much. We wrote and recorded. We got our first album out there in 2012. That was a lot of fun. Shout out to Dustin Ritter at Bullet Ride Productions. He recorded us. It still sounds awesome to this day. But yeah, at that point, you know, we were really trying to write some new stuff, but we were kind of having like differences in writing. Trey was writing some stuff that was just kind of out of my skill set. Like I couldn't learn it as easily. So it wasn't as much fun to play because it was like I'm okay with like challenging myself and stuff like that, but it was so far beyond what I could do.
I think
so. I kind of stopped caring and putting time into it because it was just stressing me out. Every time I would go to practice,
yeah,
I couldn't keep up. It was going in kind of a different direction than like I could do, and it just at the time, I kind of lost track of like what I liked musically.
yeah.
So
Yeah.
I didn't know what to write to be like, hey, instead of doing like this real technical shred stuff, how about let's try something else? It's like I didn't have any good ideas to really contribute at that point, and I was kind of reckoning with my life outside of music, and stuff kind of took a different direction. So.
And I remember, like, so Pterodactyl, we played one final good show, and then everybody left because we did have difference of opinions, and I was like, we're metalcore. We're a metalcore band. And metalcore had died at that point. It's still around, obviously,
Yeah,
but
it wasn't quite the same as it used to be.
And anyway, I think Macaulay, was like, hey, I think we should be this band. I think it was like grindcore. And I was like, I'm not a grindcore vocalist. He's like, well, I think you'd sound good. And I was like, I'm not a grindcore vocalist. I'm a metalcore vocalist.
Yeah.
And we had difference of opinions. We weren't going anywhere. We weren't writing any new stuff. So he ended up leaving, which, it's like, wish him all the best of luck at that point and things. And then we tried tried another guitarist, and because he had a bassist, and we had a full lineup for a show, and that show was so much fun. It was for, I can't even remember the band anymore, but The World We Knew. Anyway,
oh yeah,
love
them.
Yeah, that was kind of like the downfall. I forced a show on us. I shouldn't have forced us playing that show. And then basically Gil was like, hey man, I haven't been wanting to do this since Cody left. Like, it's time.
Yeah.
And I was pretty upset, and I was like, this is kind of it. Like, I don't know. I didn't prepare for this. We'd been trying for so long to make it work. I did vocals for you guys on your final show for Trey.
Yeah.
I got my tonsils removed, and I really can't do the things that I used to do back then.
Yeah.
Just vocally, I can't do it anymore.
But you sound awesome. You did some stuff for so I have a new band solo project, whatever it is that I call it. It's Obscuration. And yeah, you did vocals for us on
I wasn't super happy with them, but also like
everything sounded bad on that. I didn't know what I was doing.
I think I tried too hard to like. Again, it's one of those things where you don't, I'm getting back into it, so my confidence level is probably not super high. I was writing the lyrics as we went.
Yeah.
I think experience and stuff like that, it's like, okay, I know how to actually, it's just, I'm never going to be what I was, and I was pretty happy with where I was back in the day. I can probably come back to a little bit close to that. But I can't do that stuff anymore.
I was real stoked because I hadn't heard anyone do vocals over music I'd written for like a long time. And I was like, this is awesome.
Yeah, some of that stuff sounds still really good. I just I can't do my highs anymore. And I loved my highs.
Yeah.
God, I loved doing them. I loved it all. And it's gone.
Yeah.
I can't do them. I can do the lows pretty good. I always could do lows, but.
Yeah, your lows and your mids were like sounding really good.
Yeah, my poor highs. I had such killer highs. But anyway, yeah.
So he did that EP with me, and then I actually have an EP coming out. It probably either is already out or is coming out like right now. It's coming out on March 5th. My buddy Zach Johnson from high school, he did vocals for me on this one because he hadn't done vocals before, and I was just kind of like messing around with some new songs.
And at that point, I was going through a rough patch, so I couldn't do vocals.
Yeah, and I knew Benji at the time. Just I could tell you weren't feeling it as much, especially like when we kind of started, because at the time I didn't really know what I wanted the project to be, and I know you didn't want to like do shows and stuff like that, so I wasn't focusing as much on that. And I've never really been the kind of person that I'm like forced to be like, you need to like stay on and do vocals. So he just wanted to like try some vocals out, and I was like, hey, I like these. So he recorded vocals for me for this EP, which I'm super proud of. It
sounds really good. I'm actually super pumped to put vocals back on your stuff now. Not that I wasn't back then either. I think to see where you were when we first recorded to now, you've grown so much. So I'm super proud of you.
Thank you.
Wherever you came from, you heathen.
Yeah, but yeah, I just finished that up, and I got some new stuff I'm working on, but I'm gonna take a little bit of a break from writing, kind of refresh, and kind of start anew with some new things, and kind of figure out what direction
I hope you
go
get some
with
artists
stuff
that come record you, and so that way you can kind of just enjoy it, because like now you're doing all of the process, and that takes a toll. So hopefully you have something where you can just record it, right? Like you can just like
because I really have come to enjoy like the recording process, not necessarily me recording myself, because that's real stressful, but like the the mixing and the being like, oh, maybe if I put this guitar effect on this and it'll blend together. Like I'm really enjoying like sonically putting stuff together and all that stuff.
You know what we should do? So you don't have to write anything. We should just do a Pterodactyl EP, because I have the 3 songs I wrote.
Oh, I'm down.
I'll just send them to you, and you can just figure out what you want to do with them.
Yeah.
Someday.
That sounds good.
Yeah.
Especially if you have are the drums written on it too?
Everything's tabbed.
Oh, sick, because then I can just plug the drums in.
Yeah.
And
Pterodactyl
EP coming
soon
on Monster Cave Productions.
Hell yeah, bro.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, this has been a long one.
This has been a long one. I don't think we're gonna... you know what, though? I could go even longer. Music's just such a big thing. We went through the history of us and music. I could keep going on and on about, like the music that I liked and things like that. We're not going to do that for this one. But, just, that's kind of where our friendship, other than just like the partying and drinking, we've always revolved around music. You've helped me out. I've kind of helped you out here and there. The last EOE show was so much fun.
That was a great time.
Especially doing Megalodon with Travis also being like, that was kind of like, like these guys, I grew up with these guys, right? And I don't mean like grow up as in like, I was 5 and then I was 15 and I've been listening to them the whole entire time.
Yeah.
I became an adult 2011, 2012, with Pterodactyl. We are always around. I was like, you guys are just my best friends. And I always went to like as many shows as I possibly could, and to be able to do that last show and then having Travis doing Megalodon was just such a fun time for me.
It was nice and cathartic. It was a good end for.
It was the last time I could do any vocals.
The excellence of execution.
It was like 20 of our good friends, because we have a lot of at the time, and even still now, we're all spread out. We don't meet up as much, but we have a pretty large friend group. So, because of these shows, I would say, and it was of that time and where I was. That's probably one of my fondest memories, is just hanging out with all you guys and all the music and everything, and that's a good memory for me.
Yeah. All right. Well, I think it's probably about time to wrap it up. But we want to thank you for sitting down and listening to us talk about our musical endeavors with each other. Yeah.
I know we say this is a podcast, or a comedy podcast, and we try to be, our banter is really what's funny, but we really appreciate you guys coming out. Appreciate you
guys coming out.
Thanks, Cincinnati.
I got a bottle of water here.
A bottle of water.
Yeah. But like and subscribe and check us out on Facebook.
Smash that like button.
And we will see you guys next time.
Bye.
Bye.